Information-fueled, opinion-driven. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
Here we are. Here we go. It's hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Show. Hold on. I'm supposed to wait for this guy to say... Cut it! There we go. All right. It's hour number 2 official now. We have the greatest listening audience on planet Earth. I mean, I love Ken Weaver to death. I love my cohorts here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, but I love you more. And we have the greatest listening audience as evidenced by this example. They are reminding me, Jeff Malinoff, a.k.a. KGB, that you didn't dress for me. And you didn't make your hair right. You didn't fix your hair and slick it down for anybody on this radio station or on this radio show. Not one single audience member, unless your date tonight happens to be watching, because I was reminded that you have a date tonight.
That's right. I do, but she is very, she works. She's actually pretty busy. I was actually talking to her earlier, and she's just like, my hands are full this morning.
First date?
No, we've been on a couple of dates. It's just been a while since we went on a date because I've been working 7 straight days the last 2 weeks. So I finally, thank God this show, I could sleep in, and also I have time at the end of the day, so I made plans with her.
Let's let it go, Brother Malinoff.
How about
that? And she's real, and she's not Belle. I see the text. She's real. She's not Belle.
We are.
I will say, I said I wouldn't say her name. I will say her first name. Her name's Kelly. Okay? That's her first name. I won't say anything else.
That's a great name.
She is. She's great.
Kelly and Jeff sitting in a tree. Kissing.
I cannot kiss and tell.
It comes marriage. In the 2 o'clock hour, you'll get words of wisdom from Weaver about how to deal with this. I would say, words of wisdom from Murphy, but there's not enough alliteration there. Plus, you don't want my advice. You want Ken Weaver's advice. Ken Weaver knows how to woo a lady.
You got to lie to her.
Wow.
Just straight out of the gate, buddy.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to win any woman worth it with that.
That's how I got my wife. Told her I was a prize fighter, and it made her laugh.
What was the weight class you were in there, Ken?
At the time I was pretty skinny.
No. I meant because of his size. What are you? Middleweight, welterweight, super welterweight,
it would have been it'd have been lightweight.
Yeah,
I was about 175 pounds.
With his height advantage, that's body blows. That's all he needs to do.
Speaking of lightweights, don't drink.
I don't drink.
So. Okay, good.
We're going to get ice cream, so I don't think there's any alcohol.
All right. Well, Congressman Burchett's waiting. We're going to talk about this later. Maybe Tim has some advice for you. Congressman Tim Burchett joins us to talk about the very serious matters going on in the world, and also to offer dating advice for our producer today. Tim, any advice for Jeff, who's going out on a date today?
Well, my wife's name is Kelly as well. I always hold the door open for him, be a gentleman, and then if you think it's real, don't waste any time, dude.
There you go, brother.
With it.
That's good advice.
I met my wife Kelly. I asked her out when I first saw her because she was it. So
and she felt sorry for you and said yes.
Yeah, and she didn't know who the heck I was, which is even better.
That's awesome.
I asked her out, and she said, I called her, and I thought she was giving me the runaround, and she said, my wife's a widow and had a little girl, and she said, well, I can't tomorrow or whatever, and I said, well, why not? Did I have to get a sitter? And I said, hey, it's a package deal, bring her. And then I remember I broke a tooth, and then the rest was history.
You broke a tooth?
Yeah, I had the tooth on something. I don't know, like you at one of the crazy steakhouses or something.
Oh, okay. Well,
not her punching me or anything.
Oh, well, I was about to say. Get a little fresh with Miss Kelly, and she gives you what for there, Tim? That's what I thought.
She'd drop me like a bad habit if I did anything like a little girl.
Tim, you were very animated. I appreciate you coming on, Congressman, to speak to the people of Middle Tennessee about this very serious matter of these assaults against the former president and our current candidate for president of the United States. You said the other day, I believe I'm quoting you correctly, that you believe the Secret Service is compromised, lacks in leadership. I want you to talk a little more about that. Your overall thoughts of the second assassination attempt in as many months against Donald Trump over the weekend.
Yeah, well, let's look at the facts. They've got over 6,000 employees. They have a $3 billion a year budget. And they're out of one side of their mouth, they're saying we need more resources, and then saying we've got the best there is. So which is it? They're going to ask for more money. That's going to be the bottom line. They don't need more money. They got a culture problem over there. You get somebody like Dan Bongino, who's actually former Secret Service, been on presidential details. He'll tell you all the dirt on it. We've got whistleblowers telling us. They fire the lady who's in charge, who was a DEI hire. She was friends of, the Cheneys, and she was friends of the Bidens, and she worked her magic to get in there. And then we had her for committee, and she couldn't tell us, which way was up. And then she quits the next day. And then they bring in the number 2 guy, who's part of the problem. We just keep going to the same. It's like my daddy used to tell me about education. We always ask the people to fix it that caused the problem. We got a cultural problem within there. Look, and then you got Mayorkas out there saying today he gets approximately the same coverage as the president does. That is a lie. That is a complete and total lie. If they did get the same coverage, we would have a problem, because the coverage that the president get is pretty substantial, which he should have. But let's get back to the facts. This guy's laying out in the bush 12 hours, and nobody knew he was there. We weren't flying any drones. I was at a high school game this weekend, West and Maryville High School in East Tennessee. And dadgummit, they had the drones flying over. You could see the part in my hair, which is substantial. My hair is incredible, as you all quoted many times. But the truth is that they, Trump's out there on a golf course, for goodness sakes, and we have footage from MSNBC showing how that they showing him out there. So they're showing everybody in the world who's a nut that the possibility that you could have of taking him out. And then you get Hillary Clinton on the news saying, you need to turn it up. You need to turn it up. Well, no, you don't need to turn it up. She's awful. She is an awful human being. They're out there, and then now the legacy media, so to speak, is trying to blame Trump and J.D. Vance for people trying to kill Trump. Well, I got news for you. The people that are shooting up these schools, the people that are trying to take president out, are far left lunatics. They know, I'm not as far as saying it's MK Ultra or anything, but they know they're turning up the heat. Look, they know if Donald J. Trump is elected president again, that their little charade is over. He's going to cut through these departments like crazy, and they know it. They know that his mistake last time was he trusted some people, and he knows who to trust and who not to trust. These departments are a DEI nightmare. They are a complete nightmare. They have got, and they're infiltrated by these ideological people. You've got current, the officer who's in charge down there in Florida was urged before they would promote him to remove some of his anti-Trump posts. Now, what in the world is somebody in that department even making a post a political post? Secret Service, knowing that they're going to be called on to protect whoever it is. And, it's just, this thing that goes so deep, it's pathetic. And we have our heads in the sand of how far this has gone. And if Trump's not elected, if Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States, you're going to see them just turn it up. It'll be open Marxism. Now it's just kind of hidden behind the scenes. They kind of laugh and joke about it. But it'll be the reality of what we're going to see.
Well, I want to give you a little more on this and a more food for thought, because I enjoy the conversation. As always, Tim Burchett with us, Congressman, telling it like it is with regard to what might happen should the Democrats win this election. Hillary Clinton's on a little book tour, and in addition to calling on yesterday, she did this yesterday after the second assassination attempt. She called him a dictator. She said he, quote, must be stopped. And then she had this little thing to say about free speech in the United States of America. Let's listen to this.
And boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence.
She said that we should criminally charge people who are engaged in propaganda, and I would assume that propaganda is to be determined by the federal government itself. Tim, do you believe that the Congress of the United States of America or the Judicial Department, the Department of Justice, should be determining whose speech is okay and whose speech deserves jail time?
Well, here goes my another dollar in the swear jar, but hell no. What's propaganda to her is what doesn't agree with her. She is awful. She needs to go away. She needs to quit. I don't know why they keep putting a mic in front of her. She's one of those that spews out the vitriol. She says the code words. She knows exactly what she's doing. She cannot stand Donald Trump because he beat her. He beat her at her own game when she was cheating, doing all the stuff that she does that the Clintons do. They're ruthless, and everybody knows it. I mean, they openly joke about how ruthless they are down here, and the Democrats do. And there she is saying that stuff. MSNBC or whoever. That's every time. Last time I was on there, they muted my mic, if you can believe that. And they wouldn't let me talk anymore because they were so fed up with me because I wouldn't spew their dialogue back at them. This is what we're seeing right now in the legacy media. This is what we'll see more of under Kamala Harris as president, and it will be nonstop. It will be nonstop. Donald Trump will destroy their dialogue, and he will destroy their machine that they've got that is currently running this country off a Marxist cliff.
Congressman Tim Burchett with us. Obviously, the news of the Trump assassination being a little bit overwhelmed by some of the breaking news happening today, Tim, and I don't know how much information you have about what is coming out of the Middle East, but apparently someone has been responsible for a coordinated pager attack. I don't know how else to put it, against Hezbollah, the terrorist group that is Hezbollah. What are your thoughts on this information that's coming out from the Middle East?
It's a good start. They are terrorists. This is why Netanyahu and the rest of them, they don't want America over there because our rules of engagement get people killed, as they did 13 brave Americans in East Tennessee. I mean, I'm sorry, in Afghanistan. I'm thinking of Ryan Knauss, who was his father is a neighbor of mine. He was the last person technically that died in Afghanistan. And they have different rules of engagement. They know how to play the game. We don't. We send UN negotiators in there or ask Nancy Pelosi for her permission before they do anything. They go in and take care of business, and that's what they're doing. Apparently, it is a very coordinated, high-tech attack, and they've used some of this stuff similar in the past, but this is the first time they've done it in such numbers, and that's all I'm free to talk about on that.
When's the last time you used a pager?
I guess the last time I was a drug dealer or a terrorist, which would be never.
Burchett, you say that jokingly. People will pull that clip. They'll play it against you later. Come on.
I said at the end, never.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's what it is. Yeah, it's just, look, they know what they're doing. It's a different warfare, and they know and it's strategic. They take out certain people. They've used this in the past where they've had a phone that had a small explosive in. They ask to speak to somebody. They pick up the phone and they say, "Is this such and such?" And they say, "Yes." They have voice identification. They hit the button. There's an small explosive in the phone. It takes their head off. and it doesn't hurt anybody else. And so that's what they do. That's very strategic, and I think there'll probably be outcry from the left, and the United Nations will demand, retribution or something. But the reality is, it's their dadgum war. Let them handle it. The terrorists came over that border and slaughtered Americans, and we're trying to ask them for, it's just like with Trump. I mean, they're going to try to blame Trump. They're trying to blame Netanyahu. It's just more of the same. Let them fight their dadgum war.
U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama will join us on the show a little bit later on. I know Tommy for a long time from back in his days coaching football, and he has been joined by 5 or 6 other senators calling for Donald Trump to have the same level of protection through the Secret Service as a sitting president, considering that there have been now 2 assassination attempts. Do you join that call?
Yeah, it should it should follow the risk, and there's currently the risk. I would caution people, though, to say bring in private security or Navy SEALs. I don't know that legally they would have the jurisdiction. They couldn't stop traffic. They couldn't make arrests. Could they pull the trigger under certain circumstances? That creates a lot of problem. We need to have a Secret Service that does their dadgum job. Let's get them out of the business of identifying counterfeit money. Send that over to Treasury. Let's let them be a protective detail, which is what they should be for dignitaries from overseas and American elected officials. And those running for office. And let's take it out of the political hands too, because what you saw with Robert Kennedy Jr. was pure politics. Hunter Biden had more security than Bobby Kennedy did, and name me a family that has suffered more under assassins' bullets than the Kennedys. For goodness sakes, that was just wrong. That was pure politics. Biden's not competent. He doesn't know where he is. But the machine, the swamp, or the sewer, as I like to call it, they were calling those shots, and by calling those shots, they almost cost Donald Trump his life.
As always, an incredible conversation, Congressman. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk again very soon. Take care. Be safe.
Thanks, brother.
All right. See you soon. There's Congressman Tim Burchett joining us for a good segment of time discussing the efficacy or lack thereof of the Secret Service and what to do to repair that, plus a comment or two on pager technology and a little bit of advice for KGB on his date. It's 23 after the hour on Super Talk.